let's spend a little bit of time talking about how we practice or how we train and what we want to do when we get to the range. Now, you've probably been told many times when you get to the range, you need to have a plan, okay? And that is very important. And so when people start to outline and say, this is what you should do at the range, that's not fair, because I don't know what you need to do at the range. You may be really good at shooting fast at 5 yards, but for some reason you get to 15 yards, everything falls apart because you don't know how to operate the trigger correctly. So the question is personal. What is gonna work for you to improve your skills? But there's a couple of parameters that I wanna throw in that I think are really important. The big issue that a lot of people have is they think if I just shoot more, I will get better. And they try to go for quantity over quality. And I think it's very important that when you go to the range, that you pay attention to what you're doing physically. At what point does, hey, my grip's getting tired, I'm relaxing a little bit, I'm not controlling the gun the way that I should, my mental focus has now drifted off, I'm not as focused as I should be on both the sights and the trigger. All right, all of those things are important. And if you get to the point where that's happening, you have to stop, reset yourself, and realize, hey, maybe it's time to take a break. You need to go load some mags, do some other kind of things, so that when you are shooting and practicing, you're giving it that focus that it deserves in order for you to actually improve the way you want to. Last example I'm gonna give you there is I see a lot of people go to the range and they take all of their magazines and they load them all up ahead of time. So they're like, yeah, I'm gonna get 500 rounds knocked out really fast. That works great for the first 50 rounds or so. And then we start seeing that attention drop off. We start seeing that focus, that grip pressure, all of those things that we should be doing starts to dip off. And then our normal state is a more relaxed state than a focused state. All right, what we're gonna do here, guys, is we're gonna shoot a full magazine at the B. The goal here is for you to shoot as fast as you can, but maintain 100% accuracy on that B, okay? Here we go, full mag, ready? Up. So here's the question. So outstanding, one shot. So the first thing I'm gonna say here is, which shot should he focus on? That one shot, which is our tendency, right? We wanna beat ourselves up for the one shot, or all of the shots that he did correctly. I want you to focus on all the ones you did correctly, okay? If we come over here, he started out pretty good, but then it started getting worse and worse and worse, okay? And this is the exact point we're talking about. At the point you see the wheels coming off, because if he's not seeing the shots where they're going, or he realizes that's where they're going and he continues to shoot, he needs to do something different. He needs to change the way he grips the gun. He needs to change the way he pulls the trigger. He needs to recognize that, because continuing to do reps with those shots missing is training that as a permanent response and not a correct response. If I'm gonna advise Brendan on how to change the way he practices here, is I'm gonna have him to reduce the length of the strings, okay, so that he can do it correctly and be aware of what the gun is doing and what he's doing for the entire string. So maybe it's only a 5-shot string to start with, and then he can add in, make it a 6 or 8 or 10 from there. But until he can do that 5-shot string correctly, trying to push beyond that and either losing focus or losing grip pressure or losing trigger control doesn't do him any good. He needs to stay on the end of it where he can execute precisely and correctly. So this is a perfect example of how we want to set up our training. So if I'm going to the range and only have 200 or 250 rounds, which is a good practice session, I want to make sure that I'm segmenting that round count into smaller groups or chunks so that I'm getting the desired effect. I want to look for the things that I need to improve upon. I need to look for the areas where I may need to be, where I may be weak, okay? Or I may need areas of improvement, and then I'm gonna make that, it might only be 10 rounds that I use for accurate focus, and then I may do 30 rounds of just 2-shot draws or something because I know that's an area that I'm weak on. But I don't wanna overdo it on any one area, because then mentally and physically I start to lose focus and I don't put the effort and the execution in as required for proper learning.
So if I have 3 different things that I want to work on, should I try to focus on all of those in every drill, or is there a better way to do it?
So that's an excellent question. And the answer to that is yes and no. What I would recommend, if there's 3 separate areas of improvement that you want to do, and they do always typically interface, I would recommend isolating each one of them individually until you've kind of mastered them, and then try to combine them together so that you find out if they've really mastered them or not. So the answer is individually isolate them to start with and then combine them together. Does that make sense?
Yes.